Well, it looks like the peak is still not in for Nvidia. In fact,
Welcome. We are back. Another crazy day in the market today. Quite the sell-off, then a recovery, and then even more of a recovery after hours. And then first Nvidia went down 4%, and then it went up 10%. Not sure if it actually hit new all-time highs. Let's see what happened by the cent. Previous high 746.11, high today 745.99. 12 cents off from all-time highs on Nvidia today. Quite the move. Went down to 645, then up to 746. Absolutely insane. I'm thinking about doing like a long stream tonight. Like this might be like one of the longest streams I've done in a while. I've got a few different things I want to talk about. There's a lot to talk about in terms of the market. You know, I've been bearish on the technicals, and Nvidia might have just overridden a lot of that today. So we will talk about what that means and how these technicals could get invalidated if Nvidia brings up AMD, which brings up MU, which brings up the other large caps, which brings up the QQQ, which brings up the SPY, which brings up the retail sentiment. Yes. I'm sure you've all seen the memes of a huge rock that Nvidia is carrying, which is the US stock market. And we are going to be talking about their earnings. We're going to look through some of the numbers. I'm going to be talking about Fisker, which is like, it's at $50 now. A few decades ago, you could probably buy a Big Mac for the share price of Fisker. So we're going to be reacting to some different things. There's a lot we can react tonight. Many of you were watching the intro. We're gonna still look at the charts and everything, but it's gonna be a little bit more of a relaxed stream. Whoa, I did not. So we've got a lot going on for the stream tonight. Okay. What's up, who's here in the kick chat? The guy, Corey, Zeke, Danny, Ghost. What's up, Ghost? Nice to see you in here. Been seeing you on X. Shout out to Ace the Kid. And some other stuff. 1 second. I know I'm taking a while to get going tonight. I'm just trying to set everything up, because there is a lot that I want to talk about. and we're going to be talking about a lot. I know this is very annoying to all of you, but I'm going to be sharing a new ping in the Discord. I am so sorry. But I want to make it clear that's not just the regular stream tonight, so a lot of people can tune into what I want to look over. And yeah, so we're going to get started. I'm going to do the normal breakdown on, I don't like this song, on Bitcoin, crypto, and all the others. We'll talk about the overall market. Then we're going to look at NVIDIA earnings. And we are also, I have not even watched this video until now. A lot of you, I'm sure, are familiar with this YouTuber, Marquez Brownlee. This video has over 2 million views. It was published 4 days ago, and it's basically one of the largest tech reviewers in the world. I guess he's reviewing cars now. I mean, I guess there's tech in it, but I'm going to actually watch this for the first time. You're going to get my unfiltered reaction. I'm also going to try as hard as possible to not be biased when watching this. I'm not even joking, I have not watched this video. So literally all I know about this is the summary you gave me, the link in the Discord. So I'm going to watch this in front of all of you, give you my thoughts on whatever it is he said. I know there's people saying like, oh, it affected the stock price and stuff. I don't think this affected the stock price that much. I don't think the casual YouTube viewer, I mean, I'm sure there might be some out of the 2 million that watch this video, but I don't think the casual YouTube video or YouTube viewer, even for like a car company, one, owned shares of Fisker in the first place to go and sell them now, and two, would want to go and short something. I'm sure a lot of them don't even have brokerages that they can short on. So I don't think it really affected things too much. I also don't think that there's people sitting in institutions watching videos like this and trading off of videos like this. So I think this is less about the stock and more just about the car and the product. So I'm going to watch this video. We are also going to be watching, I'm sure a lot of you know, Meet Kevin. Just we're going to skim through this video and hear him talking about NVIDIA earnings. And then we might also watch another video depending on how much time we have. There's a little bit of drama going on in the trading community. And I might just sit back, relax, and give you my thoughts on that. So a lot to talk about tonight. I should stop yapping and start looking at charts. First off, Bitcoin still just going sideways at 52K. We talked about this level and why it is. I don't know why this chart's not loading. I really hope my Wi-Fi is good. There we go. Why this was an important level. It's still consolidating there. There's really not much of a read here. I mean, you're resetting the oscillators a little bit. MACD is losing momentum. If we take a look at Sol, that bearish cipher is starting to play out, and then Ethereum, it got pretty close to this top trend line here, and now it's starting to reject it a bit. I'm just going to really quickly run through this other stuff so we can focus on like NVIDIA and Fisker. And the other stuff, really no change in treasuries today. They're just consolidating. Keep an eye on the 10-year though. If it can get above this 4.35 level, you see this orange line right here. Again, that's not a great look for growth stocks. Dollar currency index testing a breakdown here. This could actually help out Bitcoin. Silver, flat, gold broke down from this triangle and is now back testing the breakdown. And then finally, the Hang Seng Index, very good day today. Put in new highs of the rally, is continuing its bounce. So that's just a very quick look into other markets. The Yen ETF was up 8% today, broke out of this huge wedge. This is China Bull 3X shares. And I'm going to slow it down a little bit now. I know that was very quick and crazy. Let's talk about the market for a second. So we did just digest the earnings on NVIDIA, and we saw multiple stocks react after hours. So what is the forecast? The 7-day forecast, the weather outlook for the SPY and the Qs. Let's get into it. Well, currently futures are up. NASDAQ futures are up 1.5%, if that's correct. They look like they're up about 1.5%. My futures are delayed. But S&P futures up 0.77%. I think there's like 10 minutes delayed. But green futures across the board. And if we're going to talk about how the market looked prior to the close today, it looked like you were testing your breakdown. However, keep in mind, we saw a very decent end of day rally, and that was before the NVIDIA earnings. Now, I don't know, maybe some people can argue that some people knew about the NVIDIA earnings ahead of time and started buying up the dip. But you did see a pretty good rally into the end of the day. I mean, really, the last 35 minutes of the day was kind of a straight rally for the SPY, and we saw an increase off the lows of about 0.7%. And then if we go after hours, we include that too, off the low of the day today. And this is the SPY. This is not even the tech. All right, this is not even the Qs. The SPY went up this is a very big move off the lows, especially since we didn't get much of a reaction to the Fed minutes, which was something I was going to talk about tonight, but there really is no point to. To get a 1.5% move with pretty much no catalyst, because we're not going to count that Fed minutes as a catalyst, with literally no catalyst for the most part, apart from NVIDIA earnings, the fact that debatably NVIDIA earnings could have moved the S&P 500 1.5%, not even just the QQQ, which we're going to look at in a second, is not just crazy, but a little bit scary, okay? I haven't looked at this in a while. Let's see. Top largest stocks by market cap and largest stocks by market cap. So NVIDIA is now sitting at number 6 behind Amazon, Alphabet, Saudi Aramco, Apple, and the recent new number 1, Microsoft. NVIDIA's market cap is currently $1.6 trillion. They're roughly about $100 billion in market cap behind Amazon and Google, but quite far behind Apple and Microsoft. All right, so Google just went off, but yeah, NVIDIA is getting a little bit crazy right now. And we're looking at the SPY here. Let's break down the other time frames again. We had that double top. Remember, this is not really a fully fledged pattern. That's probably not the best way to put it, but it doesn't really matter too much until you break the neckline. The neckline of the SPY double top was around 491. You can see I have this alert set up over here in my trading view. And you got that bounce today. So the major 2 levels to watch on the SPY in the 1 hour right now, gap fill at 499, and then the support you see there down there at 491. So 491 downside support, 499 upside resistance. I will say, despite the NVIDIA earnings, the rally we're seeing, you have to keep in mind, like, we're already at above 500 after hours. So everything I'm talking about, you have to note that we're already up quite a bit. We're not where we closed at. So you have to keep an eye on what the pre-market looks like tomorrow morning. So assuming we're back in that 500 area, it's pretty much just a retest of all-time highs. I will probably start swinging puts if we reject that 503 area. If we reject 503 again for the 3rd time on SPY, because we're getting close to testing it, I will probably swing puts. I'm just waiting to see how that test goes, because obviously if we break above it, I'm not going to do that. The Qs today officially broke down as of the close, 425.61. But it went up to 431 at 29 to close after hours. Just pretty much, let's make this green line, let's make it big. The Qs actually went up to that green line I just charted after hours. So same thing here. What I am now going to be doing, I'm going to probably lay back a little bit tomorrow. You know, if there's day trades, I might alert some stuff. I'm also planning on adding my final piece to my Fisker position tomorrow or Friday. But in terms of just like my SPY and Qs trades, I'm going to wait probably until either Friday or next Monday. And depending on if the market can reach new all-time highs or not, I will take a position. I don't think I'm going to get into calls if the market hits new all-time highs. But if the Qs and the SPY go back up on this rally, we see the SPY reject to the 503 all-time high. We see the Qs, and I'm going to show you this level right now. On the 1 hour chart, I'm going to actually chart it out, keep it right here. All right, on the 1 hour, if we see, so right now, let's turn on extended hours. Boom, where's that line? There we go. So, I mean, that line right now is only just about 0.75, 0.75% higher for the Qs. If we reject this 434.72, then I might enter into puts, because assuming we get up there, that's the same level where we rallied up to last week and sold off. It's again matching this lower high from our actual all-time highs. All right. And then you could also start to create a mini double top. Like basically what I'm trying to say, just to make this into a drawing. Let's say we got up here, then I might go short. However, if we break above this point, that's my stop loss. Even if I do go short, like let's say I go short, we go down to here, but then we break above it, then I'll just stop out. So my current plan is to basically see if the Qs can reject that high we put in over the past week, and if it does, then enter puts. I actually didn't even alert it because I didn't think it was going to play out that quick, but I actually did get into QQQ puts yesterday at the open. Let's see, because there was a retest. Let me try and show you the exact chart. where was this? Okay, so all right. So I knew that this was a support. This 430 was a support level. Basically, this is where we closed on Friday. This right here is where we closed on Friday, right? I knew that this was a support level heading into the week, so I had an alert set, and we broke that level, right? We actually opened, we gapped down. This is where we closed Friday. We gapped down and opened up right here, right? Once I saw us go all the way back up to fill that gap yesterday morning and retest the support and flip into resistance, I entered QQQ puts right over here, and I sold them literally down over here. And they were like 2 or 3 days out, and I made like, I think 35% profit in like 10 minutes or less. And I was thinking about getting 35% profit in like a day or two. You know, I was thinking maybe it'll be chop, but no, I just immediately made 35% profit and I took my profits. So I already had the idea of, you know, puts heading into the week, but then I took profits because I was given profits quicker than I expected, which is a bit of an educational lesson. Like, just because you said you're going to hold 3 days, if your move happens before you even expected it, again, the profits are there, right? And now those profits, if I were to still be holding right now, could have been gone. So now I'm just going to reconsider the same exact idea if we start rejecting the same levels. But you have to keep in mind that I'm not going to go and grab puts at the open tomorrow. I mean, I can't promise that. We'll see how it looks at the open. But I'm really waiting to see if that rejects or not. So that's really what I'm watching on the cues right now with all the technical things I was taught. The close, you did break down from this wedge, but you're expected to open just back above it tomorrow morning unless futures start to sell off. So we have to wait until tomorrow to see what's next. But basically, if we reject highs again, that is even more of a bearish confirmation. So I think there's still a 50-50 chance on whether or not NVIDIA did save the market from a major technical breakdown. But it doesn't matter what the 50-50 chance is, just wait to see what the confirmation is, all right? So I'm waiting for that confirmation of whether we're going to break the new all-time highs or reject them, or at least start to reject them, so I can enter a short with a stop loss around all-time highs, because that short idea would be invalidated if we hit new all-time highs in the market. And that's where I'm at currently. But until we have more of a reading, like if we just start opening and going sideways tomorrow, I'm just sitting back, all right? And even this morning, like I quickly identified, if we go over to the chat, I quickly identified 10:58 a.m. You know, I didn't alert anything for the first hour and a half of the day, and I'm like, look, seems like a chop day until FOMC and NVIDIA. There ended up being a pattern later on in the day, which was this, and it broke down, and I alerted it for 20% profit. But that was really it. Like, there's no need to force anything in these conditions. This was just straight up, like I had the pattern set, I had an alert set, and my alert fired off, and I'm like, okay, we'll see what happens. You know, it was a small trade, but it went up like right away. It was quick, easy profits. But again, like unless you get trades like this, which literally fall on your lap, there's no need to chase stuff right now. These are the times in the market where if you can be patient and not get caught up in all the volatility. By volatility, I mean like literally going up and down within a small range, which is pretty much all of this. Don't get too caught up in that price action, okay? Especially if you're less experienced of a trader. And then wait until we get the confirmation if we're breaking above that or breaking under this. Okay, that's really what I'm primarily waiting for. You know, there are great scalps in this range, which I have done as well in the past couple of weeks. But in terms of like position sizing or using a larger position size, a little bit of patience is required right now. So that's it for the overall market. Just a quick mention, the Russell 2200-ish is a major resistance. I thought it could break it on this run. We'll see what happens. Yeah, it's like I think it can break it, but it hasn't. So until it does, we have to wait and see. The ARK ETF down a little bit, went up after us, I'm sure. Cup and handle-ish type of setup. Honestly, instead of a flag, I'd probably just look at it like an actual handle there. ARK ETF, I say, still looks okay above this $45 level. So before we do the Fisker video, this is literally the first time I'm watching this video on Fisker. And then we also do the NVIDIA, just watching this video and what he had to say about their earnings. Before we look at that, let me do a quick look into other stocks within the market because I want to spend the rest of the stream talking about NVIDIA and Fisker. Apple, first off. Again, remember, keep in mind a lot of things are up after hours. This looks like the place where Apple should break the 200-day moving average, and it really hasn't broken it with confirmation since exactly a year ago. And I don't know if the NVIDIA really just did say the market, maybe it bounces off of it for like the 5th time in the last 2 months. But I mean, this is like you kind of have like a scuffed head and shoulder setup. You're making lower highs. It kind of looks like minus Nvidia, I think a lot of things could have broken down. We just have to wait and see what will actually happen right now. Amazon, I know Jeff Bezos has been selling quite a bit. I did chart this little wedge last night on the stream, so we'll see what happens with that. But you saw that gap to fill at 160. I do think that'll fill in time. Nothing else really moved too much today that I want to mention. Mara, right, selling off a bit. We don't really need to go over those though. AMD went up after hours. This technically broke down from this pretty much triangle today, and then with the Nvidia earnings. Let's see, after hours got a spike back up. I think the simple way to view AMD, even forget that triangle you saw on the daily. Let's view it as a range, okay? Simple, not financial advice. On a very basic level, of course, new patterns can form: bullish above 185, bearish below 161, with a gap to fill at 147. So, I don't know, like, again, like, even if it does go up, it could fill this gap from the gap down yesterday at 173. And then sell off from there. And then maybe I was actually in AMD calls last week. I stopped out of it yesterday morning, like right over here. Maybe it flips from like a potential bull side setup to a bear side setup. Depends on Nvidia. The big one, SMCI, a lot of people talking about. Let's see what happened here after hours. 12% spike. I believe they did an offering. SMCI proposes $1.5 billion offering. You know, offerings can drop stock prices, but then also some investors like it because it gives capital. And to be fair, I think their stock has gone up enough for them to kind of capitalize on it, at least a little bit. Like, would you expect a company to watch their stock do this and not try to get some cash out of it? We'll see what happens there. That's pretty much it. Let's look at Tesla. Let's look at a couple of the swings, then we'll talk about Fisker and Nvidia. Tesla, 0.5% today, really just moving sideways. The swing is up about 7%. And I think as long as it remains above 181, it still looks pretty good. BABA up 3% today. Those Chinese stocks are doing well. The Hang Seng Index is open and it's up about 0.25% currently. I think it just needs to break 77. Beyond up another 2%. This one got pretty close to the first target at the highs today. The Beyond swing, again, this was all alerted for free in the Discord. The Beyond swing is up 17% currently. If you want all these free swings, you can see the link on the bottom of your screen down there somewhere, discord.gg/free trading movement. And now let's talk about what all of you are probably here for, Nvidia. And I thought Nvidia looked pretty ugly technicals wise heading into this week. I was texting friends about it. Should I go and short it? And I was mentioning the Discord. And when I say I thought it was looking bearish, I'm not saying literally today I'm like, oh, Nvidia looks bearish. No, literally at this exact high, I'm like, I think Nvidia is going to sell off. I even went ahead and in the technical trades channel, again, free for anybody to access in the Discord. This was on Sunday. The market was even closed on Monday. Like over the weekend, I sent this potential short setup. And even before all this earnings stuff, it did play out. And we did see a good sell-off between yesterday and today prior to earnings on Nvidia. This was like the target hit. You take your you short it, you take your profit, and then you see what happens with the earnings. And I did not short Nvidia or get Nvidia puts today because I wanted to see how the earnings went. And I don't care how ugly the chart looks. If it's reporting earnings that day, it could be the ugliest chart in the world. I'm probably not going to be trading it, and I didn't, and that saved me today because although yes, in my opinion, it was a bearish chart, earnings override that, and they did. So you pretty much went back up to this orange line to rematch all-time highs. Let's see where it settled down after hours now. Right there. So you sold off down to 645. It actually went down 4% first. Went back up to 743. And it's now settled pretty much up there. Same thing like I said on the Qs in the spot from a technical standpoint, breaking above all-time highs bullish, rejecting all-time highs bearish, and it takes like somebody who's been trading for like 2 months to be able to tell that. So it's not really that much of a surprise. Let's see if I can just get like a standard trading view report. All right, so they reported $22 billion in revenue for the quarter ended January 2024. representing a year-over-year increase of 265%. All right, I believe expectations was around 20 billion, EPS of $5.16. Huge good stuff there. You can read all of this for yourself. I'm not going to read to you, but you can read all this to yourself while I pull up something I also wanted to mention. All right, shout out to Knots on Twitter for sharing this. Actually, hopefully in about a week or so, I'm going to be seeing a bunch of traders out in, I don't know if we can say the location, but we're going to be doing a really awesome meetup thanks to the people on my hoodie right now. And I'm going to be meeting up with a bunch of traders on X, Jordan, Ace the Kid, and I don't want to say too much until it actually happens, but we're supposed to be doing a travel meetup next week, so I'm excited for that. Should be out in California. I'm not going to say where, but this is NVIDIA Q4 revenue. Now I'm like double thinking. I want to make sure I give you all the right statistic. Knots at Bull Trade Finder on X. History of NVIDIA's Q4 revenue each year since going public. And this just really shows you. All right, so this is a fourth quarter revenue every single year. I mean, we can just focus on the last few years. We don't have to look back too much, but like they were consistently doing like 1 to 2 billion up into 1 to 3 billion between 2012 to 2019. Then COVID comes around. They do 5 billion. Surprise, everyone's at home using computers and stuff. 2021, huge bull market. Boom, everything's going up. Not even just chip stocks, absolutely everything. 2022 actually not a great year for NVIDIA or the stock market until the end of the year, but they were still performing well in terms of revenue. And if the people or anybody back then noticing that, look, NVIDIA sold off quite a bit in 2022 and they're still doing good on revenue, could have been an amazing buying opportunity. And then you just can't even compare it. And you're like, oh, NVIDIA just went from 500 to 700, but like, look at this number. Nowhere ever have they gotten even halfway to this $22 billion number. And obviously that's been priced in over the past couple of months and expected. I believe 20 billion was expected, but regardless of what was expected and not, this does show a lot. And I think, there could be the arguments of a bubble simply based on their market cap, but I don't think anybody can deny that this is tremendous performance for a company to go from year-over-year revenue of 6 billion to 22 billion for the final quarter of the year. That is insanely impressive. And I don't know how many times that's been done in history. So the employees at NVIDIA that had stock compensation are definitely enjoying that, that's for sure. So speaking of NVIDIA, we can take a look at this video, watch a little bit more. Rooster in the chat saying 3x of any of the fourth quarter is crazy. I was saying 2x. I didn't even realize it was 3x. If it wasn't for NVIDIA, SMCI would be down a couple percent. A lot of stocks would have been, honestly. All right. I have mixed opinions about this guy, but we can take a look. I'm sorry if it's going to be too loud for a second. I'll adjust.
In fact, my expectation was that NVIDIA was going to beat today, but I didn't think their guide would be as delicious and scrumptious as it actually was. Wall Street was looking for 20.4 billion, NVIDIA guided 20 billion, they usually beat. I was looking for up to about 20.5 billion. We actually got 22.1 billion of revenue with a guide of 24 billion. Now that's exciting because it shows us about maybe an 8.6% growth quarter over quarter. And if we adjust that by how much they usually beat by, NVIDIA is actually telling us that they haven't hit peak yet. Now, how we do that is really important. And we're going to go.
So that's the interesting part. It's like, what is the peak? Not just for NVIDIA, but all of this. Like, a lot of people will argue that, and I want to know your opinions. We got about 30 people watching live right now. Let me know in the chat if you think that this whole AI thing is a bubble or not. I mean, I think I can give an opinion that most people can agree on is the fact that yes, AI has already changed the world and is going to continue to change the world, but also it's not as new as everyone's making it seem. Like it's been the newest thing, like it just happened in the last year or so since ChatGPT kind of went viral. It's been growing for the past decade, honestly, and really I don't know if these stock valuations are comparable to how much AI has changed the world yet. I still feel like a lot of the use cases for AI have not been implemented yet. So overall, for some of these stocks, yes, it is a bubble, but I don't think the bubble's fully over yet. And even if it is a bubble and it pops and we see some of these stock prices get cut in half, they can still bounce back from that and go to new all-time highs in 4 years. So I would label it as a temporary bubble that's still growing.
Going to go through notes from the earnings call and from the earnings report and everything. But most importantly, I want you to look right here. This right here, this little scribbling of notes in this segment
Love the handwriting.
shows you that revenue has gone from 34% growth from Q2 to Q3 to 22% growth from Q3 to Q4. And now we're looking forward probably to about 19% growth in the next quarter. That is still really good. I was worried, and that's adjusted by how much they're probably going to beat by in the next quarter and what they hinted in their earnings call. I'll explain the earnings call hint in just a moment, but that's good. It suggests we're still seeing that quarter over quarter growth. The AI excitement isn't gone yet. And margin is actually increasing to 76.7%. On a gross margin basis, on a gross profit basis, that's incredible. Platforms.
Therapy.
Okay, this is not my YouTube premium account. This is my champion. It's not my personal YouTube is premium, but this isn't it. This isn't.
Introduce self-driving technologies, somewhat maybe the likes of which Tesla has, for other manufacturers that expected to be released next year and probably a competitor to Tesla to some extent. Of course, the extent that that NVIDIA Thor product will be competitive to Tesla, we'll have to see in TBD. But the point is, NVIDIA is very, very excited about the future, not just from bio and basically making drug discovery AI models, giving those to pharmaceuticals and going, here's an AI, that's our Ethernet version for you, and the best product we can give you via NVIDIA. I think that's very interesting. They're really trying to make sure they can sell you a chip no matter what system you're on or wiring infrastructure.
That's a good point.
Remember, once a data center is built, which is very expensive to build, you want to keep using those products. Speaking of building data centers, Super Microcomputer announced a $1.9 billion convertible offering.
I thought it was 1.5.
Lead their stock to drop a little bit there in the post-market. It is still up about 7%, following NVIDIA's about 7% rise. We'll see how robust this is. It's been very, very stuck and at that 731 level.
I want to pause right here for a second. I know Elon has done this thing with OpenAI in terms of integrating to the AI world, but really wonder what maybe he's going to try to do something with Tesla, and they might already be involved, and I just don't know, with getting into this whole entire chip mania. He doesn't necessarily seem like somebody who's like followed trends, though. He's more of like a trend setter. He doesn't really look at like which industries are doing great and how can I join the bullet train. He's more of like, okay, how can I start the next new train and make the next new train? But it will be interesting to see Elon get a little bit more involved in all of this going on. Yeah.
It keeps getting,
or maybe it wouldn't. I don't know. Like then there's like the Dogecoin argument, and it's like Dogecoin probably only went to 70 something cents because of him. But when he went on SNL, is like when Dogecoin topped. It's like there's kind of a little bit of that Jim Cramer effect. And I don't know if I'm just kind of mumbling right now, but
rejected by 731. Did briefly try to apply for those. Of course, if you're still building a new infrastructure set, of course you're going to get the latest stuff. The question is, for somebody who already built out to H100, those are probably my biggest takeaways, and I really want to hone in where I think they matter the most. Peak Q1 margin, I think that matters a lot, and that growth rate, they impressed me. I will give you that. I know this is chicken scratch right here, but I was expecting 34 to go to 22 to go to 10. And my adjusted forecast, based on how much I think they're going to beat in the next quarter, about 15 to 18%. So I take their 8.6% and then I adjust it and then I divide. This quarter over quarter sequential growth, it's still going to be strong between Q4 to Q1. But the guide from Q1 to Q2,
We're gonna leave it at. And that's pretty much it for Nvidia. Let's move on over into Fisker. And look, stock price has not done great. I think the main two things that I want to focus on are how their expansion to dealership goes, and literally everything they talk about in their earnings report. So we will see what that looks like. But I want to watch this video regardless of the stock price and just more about the product of the car. Again, I don't think this is, people are saying it's affecting the stock price. I think even if this video didn't come out, what happened to the stock in the last 2 days still would have happened. What happened to stock in the last year still would have happened. So this is just something to the side that's not good for them in terms of like a press and like a marketing standpoint, but I don't think it's affecting the stock price too much, at least for right now. And let's see. I'm gonna be unbiased here.
Guys, I was really struggling on how to start this video just because this might be the single weirdest automotive reviewing experience I've ever had. And I was trying to think if maybe there's a superlative to explain it, like, oh, this is the weirdest car I've ever tried, or this is the quirkiest car that I've used so far. But I think it's just the worst car I've ever tested, but probably not in the ways you're expecting. So this car behind me here, this is the Fisker Ocean. You might not have heard of it. It's a pretty new car, pretty new company, new name anyway. And there were a lot of red flags actually going into this. Just
how is it a new name? Like, I know it's Fisker Inc. now, and I think it was just regular Fisker before when they went bankrupt originally, but okay.
The couple of days I'm spending with it, got it from a Mitsubishi dealership because Fisker.
Maybe just a new name for people who don't know about Fisker, I guess. All right, I'm being a little bit biased off the rip. Let me chill. Let me relax.
Yes, at the end, I'll tell you what their promised 2.0 software update is supposed to include. How about that? Deal? Okay, deal. So the fundamentals on paper are the Fisker Ocean is it's a midsize, it's like a crossover SUV, fully electric, and I really wanted this thing to be good. Like, I'm not just saying this, it's because it's competitive in the same fundamentals as a lot of the most popular EVs, like Tesla Model Y, Ioniq 5, EV6, Mustang Mach-E. Like, that's what we're looking at here. It's an electric crossover the size of those other popular ones. It's in the $40,000 to $70,000-ish range, although this is the launch edition, which is like a high trim. It's the only one you can get, but it's about $75,000. But
this is another point I want to make right off the rip, and he's doing the higher version of the car. I think if he was doing the 40K version of the car, I think he'd be a little bit more lenient as to a lot of the things, and I don't even know the issues yet. I don't know if they're specific to just this version, but if they're not, then I think he should relate that to the lower version priced, or the lower priced versions of the car.
The reason it's bad is not actually the fundamentals. And I think a lot of people who have reviewed this car before have spent like a day with it, maybe 2 days with it, and I've watched a lot of those videos trying to see if they've noticed things, and it's not going to show up in a day. You live with this car and it slowly rears its ugly head, but the fundamentals are actually fine. Like, I actually think it's a pretty handsome trim, a pretty good looking car. This is like a satin blue-green paint that shows up as a slightly different color from different angles, but honestly, I think it's pretty good looking, nice looking front. This is a dual motor vehicle. It has a 360-mile range, at least claimed, and we'll get into that in a second. And it's got good materials. It's comfortable. It's got a good amount of storage. It drives pretty well. It's quiet on the inside. It's got a pretty soft suspension. It's more luxurious of a ride than a model.
If he's reviewing the highest end, why wouldn't he have high expectations? No, for the higher end version of the car to have, I don't even know what the issues are yet, so I can't really say much yet. But let's just say there's software issues, right? Higher end version of the car, like the highest end version, to have these issues, yes, he should complain about that. But he should also say, for a $40,000 car, since this is something fixable, which I'm assuming it could be, compared to other names, other EV names with a $40,000 car, it's not the end of the world. For a $70,000 car, yeah, you should get what you pay for. You cut $30K off that price, and there's going to be some errors that can be fixed, hopefully just through the internet software updates. We'll see.
Model Y, but I'm gonna say there's a lot of really unique ideas and really unique things in this car that I've never seen in any other car. And that's exciting. because I wanted that stuff to be like innovative and make its way to other cars.
Did
But
anybody see the
if the
snowfall?
rest of the car is bad, then it won't be seen as competition and they won't feel the need to adopt it. So I wanted the whole car to be good. Let me show you what I mean. So first, on the outside, pretty good looking shape, I think, for a 2-row crossover SUV.
Beautiful,
I like the lights.
beautiful.
It's got this nice light bar across the front here. Weirdly, it lights up and says ocean at night right there, but I like this grille. It nicely hides some of the cameras up there. There's no front.
I love that rooster. Every new car is growing pains. Do you know how many errors Tesla's had? They still have so many recalls and errors. Do you know how hard it is to make a completely new product when legacy automakers have been making combustion vehicles for like a century now? There's going to be errors along the way. You think the first MacBooks and iPhones didn't have errors? Like, they had so many. Try to use an iPhone 3G right now, whatever that first iPhone was called. Try to use it right now. Like, yeah. It's not just a new company, it's a new product. So keep that in mind. So to say it's the worst car you've ever reviewed, I would love to see him do another video in 5 years when they're not a completely new product. Like,
there's no front trunk, but you've got this like floating Fisker logo in the middle here. It's pretty big, but good looking front of the vehicle, I think. Kind of gives me Range Rover vibes a little bit. Then you've got
a lot
these
of people
huge
say
wheels,
that.
and yes, these are aero caps, and you see these blue brake calipers. Maybe you want to show them off more. Okay. There you go. You can take the aero caps off.
I didn't know that.
Range, and those are decent looking actual wheels underneath. But then we keep moving down the side. This is the charge port. It doesn't motorize open, but you can see the CCS port in here. No NACS on this car yet, and no word of it, but it does charge pretty quick. I think it's something like 10 to 80% in 30 minutes or something like that. It's pretty competitive. It's got these nice blinkers out here on the mirror caps that I like.
Hyundai Kona versus Jeep.
What an ironic ad.
What Kona has and what Renegade doesn't.
These retract to flush, so nice door handles. And again, the side profile, I think that's pretty solid. Kind of looks EV9-ish. A little bit of a teaser there to one of the cars we're reviewing soon. Here's the back wheels, and then here's a kind of an interesting thing. So two things. This rear window opens. We'll get to that. And this light up here, I haven't seen this in basically any other vehicle.
Okay, I want to see the issues.
And then a ton.
We all know about this stuff.
Fisker, Ocean, driver's seat. And this is a pretty good start. I like this really.
I will say, I have personally sat in a Fisker Ocean, multiple different Fisker Oceans, and all the material inside, I don't know what he's about to say. To me, I don't know why. I should have made a video out of it. I really should have. I was just excited to meet Henrik Fisker for the second time, and I didn't, but I did take some pictures. I posted them on X. I should have made a video, but everything on the inside of the car, I'm telling you complete honest truth. The steering wheel, all the seats felt amazing, super comfortable, great material, especially for it being vegan and recycled. All that felt great. My criticism was the touchscreen in the middle. I did not like the software on the touchscreen. I've said that on the stream before. Scrolling around the map, it was very laggy. I don't know if he's going to talk about these things. It is actually pretty cool to turn it horizontal. That was very cool. But the actual software, it's very new. I'm not a huge fan of it. And I think that if there's anything about the car that I'm okay with it being an issue, it is that, because that is the easiest thing to fix. Because if they just sold these cars and the wheels flew off, that would be a much bigger issue. Something that's digital can be fixed a lot easier.
Really big, chunky steering wheel. And it has a pretty similar layout look to the Mustang Mach-E. You've got this slot screen behind the driver, steering wheel spot here, and then you've got this huge portrait display over to the middle of the car. And I feel pretty comfortable saying materials and build quality are neither a highlight or a low light on this car, but this is already where I'm going to get into some of the quirks to start. So like there's some plastic where you might not expect it in a $70,000 car, but I'll forgive a little bit of that. Where do I start? Okay, HVAC controls here. I'm going to give it.
That's the same for a lot of cars that are $70,000. Like they have Jeep Wagoneers with that. They have, I'm pretty sure, Tesla Model X's with that in certain areas. Like, I feel like at a certain point, he's trying to make the video the title so he can get more views.
I'm going to give a thumbs up to that. Obviously, there's some.
Do you know what I mean? I think it has 2.3 million views for a reason. If he's like the pros and cons of the Fisker Ocean, he would probably have done the video a little bit differently. I think he wanted to do this. And I like this guy. I've been watching him for like 7 or 8 years, like not like as a hardcore fan, but just on and off whenever I see his videos on YouTube. I used to be really big into tech, like CNET, TechCrunch, or something Buffalo. I used to watch so many different tech channels.
Some weird stuff still with touch.
iJustine.
And you can get into that, but at least if you just want a quick temperature adjustment or a quick fan speed adjustment, you can do that with these real buttons here. Also volume.
I want to see the issues.
Weird.
Hey there.
And now we're seeing Ryan Reynolds.
Or more likely your phone. You're watching a recycled commercial.
Weird things about this car. I think the theme here, because I'm trying to understand why they made so many of these choices, and there's a lot of weird ones. I think the theme here is it's just a young company that doesn't really know exactly what they're doing with a lot of these choices yet, or hasn't considered all of the things necessary to make a great liable car, which sounds crazy coming from me, someone who hasn't been in cars for as long as some others, but I think you'll see what I mean as soon as I get into them. So, great back seat. There are also these blocked little squares of all these solar panels above me, but I can't tell what they're doing. Because for starters, the software in this car is very incomplete. And again, like I said, it's getting a software update soon, but I'll just show you what we're working with now, which is I have no way of knowing what's going on with the solar panels in this car. They don't tell me anything about how much range they're getting me. This is how much range I have now. 88% battery should get me 300 something miles. Cool. Here's how many total miles I've driven. No indication anywhere in any software what the solar panels are doing, how much energy they've generated.
Okay. I told you I was not going to be biased, and I am not being biased. I'm really not. And the second he gives me a good point, I will agree with him. But we were halfway through this video, and I still don't see anything that could label as the worst car ever. I think in general, and my friend actually agreed when I took him to see the Fisker Ocean, and I'm sure a lot of you would agree that the solar panel, even if obviously if it didn't work, that would be a major issue, like if it didn't work completely, which maybe he talks about. But it just looks cool. Like I've never seen the top of a car. Whenever I show pictures of the Fisker Ocean to people that don't even really know about the stock or the company, they're like, "Oh, the top of it looks cool." Like it just looks cool to have that print on the top. And even if you can't like see what it's doing, if it is, he might say right now it's not doing anything. I'm like, okay, I will take it back. But even if it's doing something, if you can't control it or see it, it's like it's still doing something. Now, yes, hopefully they fix that. But again, all I'm trying to do is see if he has a point for the worst car. If he's just showing that there's bad things about the car, sure. The software I said myself was clunky. You're seeing it right now. I don't know if he's going to mess around with the map. But so far, halfway through the video, if any of you can say in the first half of the video this can be labeled as the worst car ever, I don't know what to tell you. Hopefully the second half he makes a much better point. Because so far I'm not being biased. I heavily, heavily disagree with him.
Generated at any point. Nothing. Now here's another one. Great visibility around this car. Love driving on the highway. You can see everything everywhere around you. And as a bonus, there is a camera for this mirror back here. Very adjustable, so if you have a bunch of stuff behind you, you can still use that mirror to see your rear view. Cool. But they did this weird thing with these sun visors where they're like half sun visors and they're folded out by default instead of in. And that's cool, so you can choose how much sun blockage you get, but that also means this mirror here is pretty small. Not sure I've seen a smaller.
It is a small mirror, to be fair.
On a car before. Now here's another one. Trays, storage.
I don't think the mirror makes the car, though.
And they actually use a lot of the space with this little tray. It's like a little airplane tray where you can unfold it. It'll hold up to 11 pounds, and I guess you could put your laptop here, maybe. Or, I don't know, if you're charging, you could just use this as a little spot for your phone or iPad. Great, but it does take up a good amount, maybe half of that storage in there, so that's maybe it should be an option or a choice you get to make. And then on the other side, there is no glove box.
The trays are still ugly. It's an opinion, but again, I'm not seeing anything. I keep pointing at the title, but you can't see the title because it's cut out. I keep going back to the point. The title of this video is the worst car I've ever reviewed. I don't think it's justified to say it's the worst car I've ever reviewed because you don't like how the trays look. Most cars should have trays. I love the fact that they have trays. Are they the prettiest trays? No. Hopefully their next cars have prettier ones. But it's very convenient to eat food. There's a use case for it. Again, I'm not saying these are good things. It's not a great thing. But worst car ever reviewed. Let me know why it's the worst car is a huge claim, and I'm not seeing anything to back that up. Putting in the title, there are flaws to it. Sure.
There's just another tray.
I mean, unless he's only like ever reviewed like the best cars in the world, I guess that is a good point. He did say this is the worst car I've ever reviewed. That it does change things a little bit.
What? There's no glove box in this car. Just another tray for your passenger. All right. Now I mentioned that driving this car is actually fine, right? It's got a couple different drive modes, 3 actually. They're called Earth, Fun, and Hyper. Earth is the most chill one. Fun is a little bit sportier, and Hyper is the fastest. But I have so many weird things about this. First of all, the only way to change drive modes in this car is via this unlabeled button on the steering wheel here. This one right here. There's no way in the settings
figure out what the button does, like
doesn't
most
really
cars.
Tell me what's changing. But from what I've experienced, It doesn't change much. All it seems to really do is remap the throttle response. So I can't feel much of a difference at all in steering or suspension softness. But what's happening is in hyper, when you hit the gas or accelerator pedal, it just goes, which is great. It's very responsive. Fun is a little bit more rolling onto the power. Earth mode, I will floor the throttle and it will slowly accelerate, but then kick in the rear motor and literally spin the tires and give me the same full power. It's not nearly as elegant or smooth as you would expect the smoothest mode of a car to be. It's not really chill mode if you can still get full power out of Earth mode.
But he likes the other mode. I love how every commercial is a car. Great job.
Each one leading to the next.
I did find it at least kind of fun that if you were like about to make a pass, that you could just quickly like pop this button a few times and you're in hyper mode, and then you can make the pass and switch back to chill mode. I guess that's kind of neat. But here's another crazy thing. If you go into the settings here and you go to
Did you
driving,
see, if any of you just saw the map right there, I know it's kind of cut out a little bit. Here, we can go back. Look at the map.
I guess that's kind of neat. But here's another crazy thing. If you go into the settings here and you go,
Did you see how the map like lagged to zoom in? That was the one thing I did notice when I sat in the car. Again, that's not enough to call it the worst car ever, and that is something that is fixable, most likely. But that was one thing I will agree at. He hasn't even mentioned it. Let's cut out for a second.
you go to driving, there is a launch mode called boost, and there's a 500 boost limit for the lifetime of the car. Meaning you can do the boost by turning it on here, and you can come to a complete stop, brake pedal, accelerator pedal, let go. It'll do the launch control. It's quite quick, but once you do it, now there's $499 remaining for the life of the car. So I think they're trying to sort of maintain the drivetrain and not be too taxing on the motors and the battery and all that, but that is another weird thing that I've never seen.
They have it in the first place, which is cool, and they're letting you do it 500 times, and most people that get cars like that, like they do it like 20 times and then maybe like once a month. Get a flexi lease, buddy. You don't have to buy 10 Fisker Oceans and get 5,000 of them.
In a car before, a literal digital limit to how many times you can do launch control. So okay, here's another one. There is a button up here to open the sunroof, and it does this pretty cool thing that I think is called California mode, which is not only does it open this sunroof, which I'm not sure why the rear windows in this car in particular aren't.
I'm going to lose my mind if
YouTube videos.
He has 6 minutes left to come up with a good point, or I'm about to lose my mind. And I was genuinely coming into this as a fan of him and not trying to be biased, and I'm not being biased. So name one thing I've said that's biased.
Where they do open, this car doesn't do it. Now here's another quirk. Like I said, there's buttons on the steering wheel for your ADAS stuff, your forward and backward songs and phone calls. And
like, I get the point that it's fair for him to say this is the worst car I've ever reviewed if he's reviewed cars that have been around for 20, the brands have been around for 20 years and they have much more of an infrastructure rather than it just being their first product. I get that. My issue with it is for people like me who didn't watch the video until right now, and if 2.3 billion people watched the video, I'm sure like 10 people saw the thumbnail and title or saw it on Twitter. It's an issue to title it like that because for the people that are claiming, and I said right off the rip, I don't think this has affected the stock price, but it gives people the impression that this is the worst car ever until you watch the video. And then me watching the video, it's like, oh, I don't even think he's trying to say it's the worst car ever. Like, I'm going back on that a little bit, but that's my impression. I thought he was calling it that before I watched it. And we're 75% of the way through the video, and I will defend this. I will defend this for a long time. There is nothing to back that claim majorly. There are some issues, very sure. It's click. I do not think he had it in him to clickbait like this, but this looks like complete clickbait to me, and that's very disappointing. Very, very disappointing, because that's a large claim.
Pause and volume and media control. When you're gripping the steering wheel here, unfortunately, these outside two buttons are extremely easy to press by accident because they're these big physical touch areas, which is usually the opposite of the complaint that I have of hard to press buttons. But when you're turning the steering wheel, you can actually accidentally press these buttons. This one doesn't do much if you're not in cruise control, but this one will literally restart the song you're playing. That's kind of annoying. But then, of course, there's all the rest of the software in this car, which, to be totally honest, is a mess. And first of all, I don't think I've started this car one time and not gotten some error on the screen behind me, whether it's just one of the steering systems or the braking systems or the cameras failing or the ADAS.
This right here, so far in this whole entire video, what he just said, and I told you I'm going to be unbiased, what he just said so far in this whole entire video is the first pretty good point. That right now, so far he has one pretty good point. That was a good point. I'll be honest, I'll be unbiased, good point.
ADAS system not starting up, weird. You get into here, there is this 360 view, the surround view, that's supposed to work anytime you put the car in reverse. This has failed on me many, many times. I'll get a video of it just because it happens so often. It's easy to get a video. So it's kind of annoying that I can't quite
It's also nighttime there.
on the rear view camera turning on every time I reverse. But you have the maps in the middle. You have this media control down at the bottom. And there's no quite easy way to tell this, but this screen can rotate. And I only found that out by like playing with it because I was curious about build quality, and it would always snap back to vertical. The only way to know that it will turn horizontal is if you hold down, again, this unlabeled Fisker Ocean button for 5 seconds.
You gets such a point on unlabeled. So many cars have unlabeled buttons. I literally figured this out within like 25 seconds of talking to a Fisker employee. Like, watch a tutorial video on the car you bought.
Then it will switch to horizontal and give it a couple seconds for it to figure itself out and turn horizontal. There you go.
See, that's my issue. That, like, why is it lagging there? I do agree with that. I don't like how it lags there.
And then you have basically all the same UI stuff, but horizontal now. Again, it's on this piece of metal. If I want to switch it back, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And
That's what I'm saying. Like, the fact that it can do this in the first place is very unique and amazing. But yes, I agree. Like, why is the screen not moved yet? And when it does move, why is it? It's probably going to buffer a little bit in terms of the frame rate. These are issues. I believe they're fixable. But again, they're trying to do something that most cars can't even do or have not done. So just like Apple made so many new inventions where, you know, it had some errors because it was such a new thing. That's a part of making something new, and that fixes in time. And that's why most people don't buy the first ever product from a company. They buy the second, third, fourth iterations. Think about it. A lot of people were still using BlackBerries when the first iPhone came out. They waited until the second or third iPhone to switch over. Some people waited until like a much longer time to switch over, and they're using Samsung and Androids. Some people still haven't. Maybe they never will.
there you go. Even little things like Bluetooth, I've had an issue with in this car. The first time I drove this car home, I tried
Bluetooth issue.
Step inside
Another
the
car ad. I love it.
60.
car speakers. UI that shows obviously your speed, and when you're accelerating and using energy from the battery, it turns red with this pulsing notification, and then when you decelerate, it turns blue. But when you're right on that middle point of the throttle where you're easing off or easing back on around that 0 point between regen and acceleration, the whole screen flashes between red and blue, which can be pretty distracting, especially at night. And I've also had the driver assistance systems fail on me several times. I've had the driver attention thing.
Fair point. That is an issue. That also happens in Teslas, though. A lot.
Beep at me many times before.
Like, that's as messed up as it sounds, it's almost an industry standard at this point. But yes, I hope they do fix that.
This car also doesn't seem to have hill hold. So brake hold is a pretty common feature in new cars where you pull up to a stoplight, depress the brake, and it will hold the car in place. It's electric. It should be able to do that. This car, you pull up to a hill, it will literally start rolling backwards if you take your foot off the brakes. It doesn't have brake hold. I found that insane. And the cherry on top is this is the key fob here that comes with the Fisker Ocean. Kind of an interesting key fob. First of all, the car feels very unresponsive to proximity. I walk up to the car after it's been sitting for a while, nothing happens. It doesn't automatically unlock, it doesn't wake up, nothing happens. I press unlock. Sometimes it takes me 2 or 3 times for it to actually wake up and unlock the car. That's weird. But then at least you have this button on the top of the steering wheel, where if you press and hold it, it will do the California mode thing. At least it's supposed to. That's what that button's supposed to do.
Fair point.
Do I have to hold it for like 5, 6 seconds? Just doesn't seem to work on mine. The list goes on.
I would say, like, imagine showing your friend, like, yo, look at this California mode thing. And then you're like, wait, 1 second. Never mind. Yeah, that would suck. But another fixable issue.
On and on. I've only had the car for a couple days, but my point here is you could give me this car and I wouldn't want to drive it. There are so many annoyances, especially with
Here's a summary of the video. You wanted to be picky for the title. Most issues are fixable. I genuinely wanted to come into this unbiased, and I really do think I was, and I still agree with him on so many of the software issues, but the level of proportion that some people have blown this video to, it's like, I think they wanted to hate it in the first place, and I think he did too. And I want to like it in the first place, and I'm agreeing with the software issues, but I think you can find many worse cars, and even many worse EVs, and at 40K, not the 70K, at 40K, I know you can. I'm not going to say I think you can. I know you can. So yes, these are issues. I was not even aware of all of them that do suck. but everything pretty much seems fixable to me. And I think he's doing more of mentioning the weird things to him about the car, the things he doesn't like, than all the amazing stuff. He just brushes over the fact that, oh yeah, it drives great, by the way. Bro, that's the number one thing you want the car to do. Can you focus on that? Oh no, you didn't want to. Okay. I'm not going to worry about this video. I'm also not going to sit here and try to rebuttal everything for 2 hours. I have a whole entire playlist on my channel for Fisker videos. One video was literally uploaded a month ago, I think. So you can go watch those. But that's my reaction to this video. I genuinely thought he was going to be able to test me and make me double think a lot of things. And this is not financial advice, but this video, I'm already playing. I already said this on Twitter multiple times and today on the stream multiple times. And I think last night on stream that I was planning on adding more to my Fisker position this week, because I actually sold some last week at 75 cents because I'm rebalancing my portfolios. I sold some. I literally looked at the price I sold it at today on my phone. Like, what price did I sell it at? Because now it's at 56 cents. I sold Fisker last week at 75 cents. And that wasn't even like a big change. I was like, when I sold it, it wasn't even a big change. I was just moving it over. So now I have cash in the account I wanted in, and tomorrow, Friday, I'm going to add to it. And my point I'm getting to is I was already planning on doing that. This reassures me that I want to buy more at 50 cents while people like him are trying to dig this company its grave. I'm going to buy it at 50 cents. And like I said, on top of that, the amount that I am buying at 50 cents is fully riskable. So I also want to leave with that very, very important note. I'm not putting everything into this. I'm putting what I'm comfortable risking, and this makes me more comfortable risking that amount. That's my takeaway from this video. I did just lose a little bit of respect for him. I'm not going to lie. He is much smarter than me in many ways when it comes to tech, and he probably knows more about cars than me too. He just does not know more about Fisker than me, and that's where I'm going to leave it. So there we go. Thank you all for watching the stream. I would say there was maybe 10% of bias there, but that's really just how I feel. And I think we're going to leave it at that. I really do appreciate all the support. Make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. This is the first hour-plus stream we've done in a while. I'm going to try to do these more just kind of laid-back review, reaction type of streams, maybe once every week or two. And also starting next month, there's going to be weekly videos dropping on my channel every single weekend. So I'm going to start doing that again. Just random things, stocks to watch for the week, educational videos. I'm going to start doing 1 video a week, 4 videos a month in March. So look forward to that. See you all later in the Discord. Link is in the description. If you want to join premium, it's the pinned chat, walk.com/championvibe. Have a great night. Thank you for watching the stream. Thank you for being an amazing chat. And for all of you, whether you agree with my opinions or you disagree with my opinions, thank you for being involved in the community. Thank you for watching. Thank you for chatting and making this a lot funner to stream rather than talking to myself. Because it does, when you stream, it feels like you're talking to yourself unless the chat's moving. So I really appreciate all of you. Like I always say, you don't have to come on the streams to agree with me. Just come on to chat and have fun. So I'll be wrong sometimes. I'll be right sometimes. Just manage the risk always. Have a great night. Thank you for watching, and peace out.